Hello, hello. Hello, hello. There it is. What's up, guys? Can you hear me? I believe you can, but you never know with this freaking StreamYard. But yeah, I just opened it up again. I want to get on a schedule, but I've been finding these little holes where folks, there's no lives going on. I know a lot of you just like to hang out. The content isn't the biggest thing, though. It is nice, but being able to chat and hang out is what a lot of folks like to do. So that is what you have here. I do have. Sorry, I'm just making a little bit of food here. Making some mukbang with you guys. I'm sure you'll enjoy. I do have like a topic set if it gets boring and some content that I pre-recorded. But I don't know. I see most of the stream that Ambient and Alcohol put out. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about that. I'm kind of already bored with it, to be honest. Just girls being mean, you know? Everybody doing something. Yeah, is it? Yeah, I love this. Dude, the iPhone mic is like, I think one of the best mics out there. I'm almost done. Relax. It's just getting. I'm getting my mukbang set up here, so I can eat, and drool, and make a mess in front of you guys. But yeah, so stream came out. It was 3 hour recording. I'll be honest with you, I couldn't make it through maybe 30 minutes of it. I got a little at the beginning, a little at the end. I get it. I'm just kind of over it, especially after last night. But shout out to Weenie for stopping by this morning and apologizing. I get it. Makes sense. Totally understand the reaction, so it was not a big deal, but it was a nice gesture, so thanks, Weenie. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, I wanted there's somebody that would like to come up and talk. I'm not sure if that person's gonna come up today. If that person's here, make yourself known, and then I'll make sure you have the link. If not, I'm just gonna give the link out, and anyone can come up. So bear with us for about 2 minutes, guys, and we're gonna see what happens here. One moment, please. One moment, please. On non-copyright music that kind of sucks coming up in 3, 2, 1. Yeah. So I'm gonna assume they're not coming today. It's kind of a weird thing, but we'll we'll leave it open. And like I said, if they come up, I'll just kick you guys off, and then we'll go from there. So what? Oh, okay. Hope Pee Wee's feeling good. I just noticed that. I don't know if you were sick, man, or anything. I know you're going through some stuff, but hope you are feeling better, especially if you had a little bit of a setback. So let's. So by the way, King Corso, welcome to Bar. Thanks for being here. Thanks for always being here. Kiwi, welcome back. I know you've been out the last week or so, so it's good to see you back. Amanda, thanks for coming again. Appreciate you always coming by. And Amateur Aquatic Addiction. And in case anyone's wondering, this is a dude. Poor guy. Sexy Ass Boo, welcome. Nice avatar. And I think that is everybody. So yeah. It's up to you guys. I have some science stuff, some space stuff if you want to talk about it. If somebody wants to change the conversation and go with drama, you can come up and do that. Apparently, we have 700 refugees downed off the coast of Greece. That sounds horrific. Um, let's see here. So, whatever you guys want. I'm off to bed. Just want to hit the like button. Hey, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thanks, Chooch. I appreciate you, man. What are you guys, like, in the same room or something? Is this your husband or something? What are you guys doing? What is this? What is this? What is this? Did you just expose? Are you guys? Let's see. Anyways, Dagmar, what's going on? But hey, thanks for coming by, Chooch and Ladybug. Oh, see, yeah, I figured. So, well, I'll just clip that and we'll start a rumor. But no, have a good night, guys. So yeah, listen, we can talk about anything you want. So it's your stream, or I won't talk about anything, and you guys can just chat, whatever you want to do. And don't, I mean, look, if we don't talk about anything, I'm going to end up putting up some like weird fish stuff or some like weird gross bug or something. So, you know, it'd probably behoove you to get me talking about something. 700 refugees drown. Huh. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, okay. Well, it might be the same collar that you've seen before. I'm not sure. I'm losing track of time and the clothing I'm wearing, but I'll give you a collar check here in a few. But I'm interested. I haven't heard this one yet, so let's see what the hell is going on here.
It's believed some 700 people were on board the boat sinking off the coast of Greece. Tonight, the images coming in of rescues, those migrants being pulled from the water, swimming with no life vests to survive. Hundreds still missing at this hour. Here's ABC's Marcus Moore.
Tonight, the urgent rescue operation after the deadliest shipwreck off Greece in nearly a decade. A Navy helicopter lifting a survivor to safety. More than 100 rescued from this fishing boat that authorities say was packed with nearly 700 migrants when it overturned and sank in the deep waters of the Mediterranean, about 50 miles off the coast of Pylos, Greece. Tonight, there are at least 79 dead, with hundreds more still missing. The Greek Coast Guard saying that fishing boat was first spotted midday Tuesday, but those on board refused multiple offers for help, instead continuing their journey from Libya to Italy. Officials say just after 2 o'clock in the morning, the vessel made a series of sharp turns and capsized, sinking in less than 15 minutes, passengers falling into the sea. Authorities launching a massive search, a 300-foot private...
Well, I don't know if you guys have seen this. Let me get my gimbal set up. But it's like a boat, probably 50, maybe 100 feet long. 50, between 50 and 100, probably 75. And it's just packed with people, like, the whole way through. Like, there's not even room to sit down. It's just packed. I don't know. When 100 people go missing in the ocean, that's usually not a good sign. I know they want to confirm dead, but that's not good. But at least it's not 700 dead. Didn't you say 700 died or something? That's a lot. Let me see here. Somebody said that. Where are you? What? Hold up. Let me check, man. Nothing should have happened to your wrench. Oh, whatever. Somebody said 700. I don't know where it is. But let me check what's going on here. And Madonna, too? All right, now that's news. But let me see here. And then I'll check your
Big
wrench,
yacht
man.
picking up survivors, bringing them back to the shore.
What happened to
Authorities say the
Triple H
migrants
wrench?
rescued were in the water without life jackets. They are believed to have fled from Egypt, Pakistan, and Syria in search of a better life. David, there's no word on what caused this boat to sink. Officials say there were no high winds at the time and that these desperate and dangerous journeys across the Mediterranean have been on the rise. David.
Marcus Moore tonight. Thank you, Marcus.
Hi, everyone.
Yep. Whoa, yeah, it is missing. The fuck? Well, there are two people that can do this, but I don't know that. I don't know, bro. There you go. You get the big fat one though, so be careful with that one. Don't abuse it, guy. Okay. Oh, what? Oh, my bad, dude. Jesus, man. Good job hanging out. All right, guys, we got Exiled in the building. He's been baking back there. It looks like quite a few minutes, so let's welcome him to the stream.
What's this music from?
What is it from? Some guy who's really
Sound like some
well,
wrestler
tight.
shit.
And yeah, he goes and wrestles another guy in tights. So.
That's what it sound like. Yeah, it sound like some wrestler theme music. Anyway, what in the hell, Titanic, chaotic bullshit are you talking about? What happened now? Who's missing? What's
All right,
going
so
on?
let's go back to it. Looks like we got. Oh, Amanda's here. Give some context a little bit. That's cool. All right,
Yeah,
Amanda.
Amanda is always a good resource to information.
Yeah, she's
Smart
great,
lady
man.
there. Yeah,
Man.
smart lady.
Let's welcome her.
Hey,
Hey, what's going on, Amanda?
shalom, my friend.
Shalom, Shabbat.
Now, I didn't know about it until, like I said in the chat, my liver doctor shared it with me.
Mm-hmm.
We're always talking about current events and things, and he happens to be from Greece, and I won't say what part of Greece or anything. I don't want to throw his business out there, but he shared it with me, and then he sent me that article from NPR I just posted, and about the widespread problem with refugees coming from those countries that you mentioned, and the fact that the Greek Navy rather, are turning their eyes a blind eye to helping these people, and that it talks in the article about a recent situation, and the Turkish Navy is the one that intercepted these people and took them to safety. I mean, that's just piss poor. And when just a little background, when you're a male of age in Greece, it is mandatory that you serve in the military for 2 years. And so, my doctor also knows that I was a veteran, and of course he's met my dad, and the whole deal. So, that's why we were kind of always talking about it. And he was pretty disgusted that the Greek Navy had kind of turned a blind eye. So, anyway.
Yeah. So this is This is CNN's coverage of it. This is only a couple days ago.
Pakistanis crammed into a small room by smugglers in Libya, some of them believed to be among the hundreds presumed dead. These last images before they embarked on their ill-fated journey. About 750 refugees and migrants were packed into this fishing vessel bound for Italy before it capsized off the coast of Greece. Only 104 survived, and with them the harrowing accounts of what they'd been through.
I can still hear the voice of a woman calling out for help. You would swim and move floating bodies out of your way.
The Syrian survivor spoke to us from Greece. He asked for his identity to be concealed for security reasons. His and other accounts obtained by CNN not only contradict the official Greek version of events, but point to...
So where are these folks from? I know that Greece is involved, but where are these people actually from?
Libya, Pakistan. That's the two places I've read about. Primarily though, Libya.
Got it. Yeah, I just don't understand how they pack this many people on a boat and get away with
Okay,
it.
so if you read my article, I didn't know this either.
Hmm.
Apparently, smugglers get paid a high price per head for each person they put on a boat. And it's a high price for it. And so they don't really care. A, how many people are on the boat, and B, whether or not it makes it to its destination, which is pathetic.
Oh shit. Okay. Got it.
For fun.
It's a
Just for
slave
fun.
market, is what it is essentially.
Could. Oh, okay. So could it be pirates did this all?
No, like in
Damn
the
it!
country.
Damn it! I was
No,
hoping on pirates.
you're thinking of Somalian pirates. Now,
Any
that's
kind of
also
pirates would do. I like the movie Goonies. I was hoping on a good pirate flick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Somali pirates are fanatical for attacking ships.
Yeah, they are.
What is it? The Strait of Barmouth? What is it? The Strait of Barmouth? I'm not saying it right. Something similar to that.
Bermuda.
No.
No.
Yeah, it's the thank God for South Park. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known about Somali pirates. You know.
I only know about it because I read some of the State Department and things that are put out for the public consumption, and just to be careful. I mean, I'll be honest with you, they have tried in the past to attack American ships and failed miserably because we just shoot them. But other
right.
countries have not been able to do as well as we do. So something I wanted to say, I think is something that's positive out of this whole Titan submersible thing. You guys may not see it as a positive, but the fact that they found some remains, it may just be a finger or a toe, but they can bring those up and identify them and at least give something to the families. And I saw the pictures from the parts that they brought up so far, and it was pretty fascinating.
Here, I'm getting my gimbal set up so I can do a little bit of the video coverage. But when did they find that? Was that today?
Yes. Apparently, we have brought in a naval ship. I didn't know about this. It can go down 60,000 feet. Not the ship itself, excuse me, the equipment on it that the United States uses to do underwater things. I hate to say this publicly. A lot of people don't know this, but we have things in the water that are sensors in certain parts of the world. I'm not telling anybody that's classified information. So they use that equipment to put out sensors in the water, and that's how we keep up with who is in our close to the United States. Let me just say that.
Got it. Okay. Sensors, essentially, or security sensors, I should say.
Yeah, basically, you kind of go past this point and they get a little ding dong somewhere, like a doorknob. I don't know.
Yeah, it's basically like a security system for the ocean.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're not the only country that does that.
Got it.
I
All
would
right.
bet you $1 million right now that China does it.
Got it. So, so interesting. So we got some remains from the sub. I mean, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. Like maybe as the family they need it, but like I mean, is there anything like? Is there any doubt what happened? I mean, does the remains give you closure? I don't
Well,
know. You know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying? It's like they exploded underneath the ocean. Like it's not like you gotta. Oh, finally, we now know he's passed on because we found a toe or something. I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm just,
I get
you know what I'm
it.
trying to say.
Yeah, I don't think you're trying to be demeaning in any way. I don't feel that I'm qualified to answer that because I'm not a family member. Um, I don't know how I would feel if I was in that position. Um, just because of my mentality and my background, you don't leave anybody behind. You just don't.
Right.
It doesn't matter, you know. Um, like today, June 25th, I'm kind of all over the place. So I'll save it until we get done with this discussion and talk about Operation Red Wing.
Oh, we're talking about Red Wing. Okay.
Yeah, Operation
We
Red
mean business.
Operation what?
We mean
Red Wing.
business tonight.
Yeah.
Let's
I'm
get
a
it.
plethora of information. People just don't give me an opportunity to ever participate in anything. All they do is attack.
Screw them. So you can participate all you want. All right. So all right. So we got remains. I mean, I don't know. Do you guys really want me to play that stuff? I don't. I mean, it's up to you. If you want to see it or not. But
They don't show the remains. They just show the pieces.
well, yeah. I hope not.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's good. And then these people basically, we lost about 79 of them. It looks like, or was there more?
Are you talking about on
Going back to the Greece one, because I was just about to finish that one, so we can move on from that.
The way I read the article that I read was 700. That all
700 died.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, I'm
all of
sorry.
Wait,
I
what?
didn't mean to. I didn't mean to joke. I didn't know that people died on this boat. My
About
bad.
750 refugees and migrants were packed into this fishing vessel bound for Italy before it capsized off the coast of Greece. Only 104 survived, and with them the harrowing account of what they'd been through.
I can still hear the voice of the woman calling out for help. You would swim and move the floating bodies out of your way.
The Syrian survivor spoke to us from Greece. He asked for his identity to be concealed for security reasons. His and other accounts obtained by CNN not only contradict the official Greek version of events, but point to fault on the part of the Greek Coast Guard. Greek authorities, who watched and were in communication with the boat for an entire day, insist that it was not in distress and refused assistance. Our investigation tells a very different story.
So what are they saying here? They're saying that they didn't need assistance?
No, well, this is.
Or they were pretending that they did, or they're saying that they didn't need it, but they did? Is that?
Yes, because the Greeks, the Greek military, the article I read said the Navy, this article is saying the Coast Guard. Either way, they're both, water things. They don't want to be responsible or involved with the smuggling of refugees from point A to point B. I did not know there were Syrian refugees on the boat, which makes sense considering
Where was this boat headed to?
Where did they say it was heading? Was it actually headed to Greece or Italy?
It looks like it was. It looks like it was headed towards. It has on the Greek coast. It looks like it was headed towards Italy, but I mean that's just where it was in the direction it was going.
Yeah, there's an island off the coast of Sicily. I can't think of a name. It starts with an L right now. That's where it was headed. But I find it interesting that this recording you have says 100 and something survived, whereas the NPR article said all 700 died. So that right there is a difference in news coverage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is, kind of happens sometimes with these. Let me get this thing sized correctly. Here, let me see. So this is where we left off.
Greek authorities who watched and were in communication with the boat for an entire day insist that it was not in distress and refused assistance. Our investigation tells a very different story. Just before 1 p.m. on June 13th, the boat was first spotted by the EU's border patrol agency Frontex, which says it notified Greek authorities of a, quote, heavily overcrowded fishing vessel. Those on board were in distress, lost at sea with no food or water for days, according to survivors and activists in touch with the boat throughout the day. At about 7 p.m., an activist in Italy recorded one of the calls capturing the horror on board. As activists repeatedly relayed calls for rescue to authorities, 2 merchant vessels approached the boat, instructed by the Greek Coast Guard to provide the boat with food and water. But as darkness fell, at 10:40 p.m., a Greek Coast Guard vessel moves in, now the only ship on the scene. 3 hours later, the haunting last words from the boat to the activist group alarm phone. "Hello, my friend. The ship you send is..." And the line cuts out. What happened next is likely to raise more questions as the investigations continue. Survivors tell us it was a botched attempt by the Greek Coast Guard to tow their boat that caused it to capsize.
They decided to throw us a rope. So the guys at the
Okay, so I got to keep stopping it a little bit. So everyone on the same page there. Apparently they're keeping something a secret here, and it was some kind of attempt to tow the boat. Is that you guys hearing the same thing? Or
Yeah,
am I
I just
there?
heard that. And again, the article I read did not say that. So this is further information that I'm glad to hear.
Okay.
and tied it. They towed us. The boat tilted to the right and everyone was screaming. People began falling into the sea and the boat capsized. People couldn't get out from under the boat.
The Greek Coast Guard have declined our request for an interview, but in previous comments, they've denied towing the trawler, saying, "When the boat capsized, we were not even next to it. How could we be towing it?" Instead, they blamed a, quote, shift in weight, probably caused by panic. For years, Greek authorities have been accused of systematically and violently pushing back migrants and refugees. Video like this one, released by the Turkish government, captured the now well-documented practice Greece denies. This deadly incident is not just about what they may have done, it's also about what they didn't do.
It was clear it was unseaworthy. It was clear that it is part of a trafficking movement from Libya to Europe. So the authorities had a responsibility to intervene to save life.
As Fortress Europe hardens its immigration.
So what, like, again, and maybe you know this better than me, like what is the motivation to, because it looks like they were trying to be saved and then they were just literally like kicking them off. Like, I mean, I'm not sure I understand what is happening here.
I think that it appears they were trying to save them, I guess, by towing the boat in. Of course, none of us were there, so my question is, no offense to the Greeks, and I'm going to have to find out further information, but, is their Greek Coast Guard as proficient as ours? How did they attempt to tow it in? Did they just throw a rope to them and say, "Hang on while we tow you," or how did they go about doing that? So those are questions that I would have.
Right. So like fake news, like that term's kind of thrown around, but like what would be a possible reason for them not to be reporting this correctly?
Because they don't want the backlash because it's so many people that have died.
Right. Okay.
I mean, we're talking refugees from other countries.
Right.
And let's be honest. I mean, Syria's dictator is crazy. He kills people. I mean, it's pretty much like Darfur over there. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with the atrocities that happen in Syria.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, I'm not. not paying attention all the time, obviously, but
Yeah, the number of refugees that live in tents in Syria is just it boggles my mind.
yeah. Well, who knows? It may not be fake news, as you say, and I know you're messing around, but it seems like there's been some weird reports on it that not everybody has the correct story.
Policies to ensure some of the world's most vulnerable, this disaster will almost certainly not.
Hold on, guys. You remember that plane that got shot down in the Middle East? It was kind of funny with the story there too, and a foreign ally was responsible for some stuff. So like sometimes in foreign nations, they're the ones that make the story a little bit shaky, and we have to piece the story together and figure it all out.
That's true. I'm going to go to Al Jazeera later, to their website, and see what they report because I'm curious.
All right. Well, we'll guess look into that. That's good that the sub found some kind of remains, at least give them some kind of closure. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. To be honest with you, I hate looking at the news. I know we got to keep track of current events, but it's all a bunch of bullshit, man. There's always like, and the problem is the news that we get, it's always like, it's more like a narrative than a news report. So I don't feel
that's very true.
Yeah, but I just don't feel like it's necessarily helpful for us to know. It's like by knowing the news, we're in tune with the narrative, by what I'm trying to say? Like, I know we should know current events, but I guess I just don't trust anything I'm hearing anymore as being truth.
I think it depends on the situation, and I think it depends on the countries involved.
Of course. Well, like even this, like we're hearing two stories. We're hearing, the country, Greece is saying one thing, CNN is saying another. I'm sure if we keep going through different, news organizations, depending on their political leaning, supposedly, you'll probably get a different story in each one. And I don't know, we're just kind of over that.
Yeah, that's why I want to go out to either, or even BBC, any type of foreign press, to get their perspective on stuff. I mean, because I don't, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't had a chance to go out to those prior to this conversation. Because I did get to come home today. We have electricity, thank God. And so I've been pretty busy, but
yeah, what's going on with that? I tuned in to Andrew a little bit earlier. And I heard from him about electric issues.
Yeah, we had a bad storm come through. I mean, it always starts at Andrew's house. I joke, it starts at Andrew's house and then it comes here because it travels down the freeway.
Yeah.
Because I'm only like 4 hours from him. So yeah, we had straight line winds, 80 to 90 miles an hour, and yeah, and tornado warning. So
oh yeah, definitely with some winds like that.
What are you? Why are you getting the weather? Was it a hurricane or just regular thunderstorms?
No, we're in the Midwest, bro. That's gonna be tornadoes.
Oh, yeah. For some reason I thought one of you guys were in Florida. Never mind.
No, I'm in Arkansas.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah. No hurricanes there. Never mind.
No, not at all. I mean, just the instability of the atmosphere. You know this. Causes these things, and it's been extremely hot here. It's been extremely humid, and in the afternoon, this stuff just kind of spins out of nowhere.
Yeah. Are you guys getting any of the smoke from some of the forest fires? I've been hearing like somebody in Ohio was saying that they were starting.
I don't buy that narrative.
We did.
We're getting something, but I ain't buying the narrative.
Yeah, Exile's gonna say that it's a conspiracy, but
yeah.
We had something a couple of weeks ago. It was just weird. We got an advisory. What is it? What do they call them? Breathing advisory, basically. And it was hazy that day. It was.
What all is burning?
Entire
Is that-
pool.
Yeah, forest fires in Canada.
I
I
don't
mean,
keep up with all
we
that.
haven't got more smoke since the last one because I mean, I get the last one burnt up, pretty quick, and then it got caught by the wind, but it's still
It's
burning.
all good. I breathe trees on a regular basis anyway, so it's
Well,
all
this was crazy. You remember all the smoke in New York and all that shit, like. I mean,
Yeah.
do you like where you live? What area in the country are you, Exile? Just roughly,
Kansas City, the middle of the map.
middle of the map. So I don't know if you caught it, but in New England, like New York City, upstate New York, Southern Connecticut, where I am, we all got hit by like a blast of that smoke from the forest fires. Man, it was like hazy. You just smelled like the burning wood, and the sun was like orange.
We
in the
got some
sky.
smoke. We got
Crazy.
some smoke, but I don't believe. Nah.
That was all
Yeah.
smoke, Exile.
Yeah, I believe that first.
I saw those pictures from New York City. You couldn't even see the Brooklyn Bridge.
It was unbelievable. Like
Yeah.
just like the planes landing were having trouble. I mean, it was just insane.
Imagine
I've
how big
never
it
seen
was
that.
when the towers fell. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah. Yeah, this was. Let's see if I have it here.
Come on.
But I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, Rudy, and I have houses on both sides.
Let's see. So this is just a short, but this is like a brief.
Anyone who was in the Bay Area almost 3 years ago remembers the day this happened when the sky turned orange. It was September 9th, 2020. It was due to the poor air quality caused by smoke from the wildfires burning across our state.
Wasn't that the weirdest day? Well, now we're seeing the same phenomenon on the East Coast. Look at these incredible images. You can see the iconic Empire State Building
Crazy, right?
shrouded in that orange haze. And the rest of New York City's skyline looks like we're seeing it through an orange filter.
Right. And not only is it just devastatingly weird looking, but it's concerning air quality wise. The conditions
Yeah, I'd
are
say a little
affecting
concerning.
millions of Americans in at least 18 states.
New York City, in addition to staying inside, New York City's air quality index peaking above 300 or hazardous, registering among the top 5 worst major cities worldwide.
This is not the date to use air purifiers if you have them.
If you have fires.
But anyways, you get the
According to
idea. It was
Stanford
a lot of smoke, but Connecticut was affected. There's a lot of areas that just had crazy amount of smoke, and it wasn't like it might have been something else. Like it was literally, it smelled like the woods was burning. So
Yeah, it's bad, and it's really sad. That's a. Hey, Rudy said he'd been to Russellville and Dover. Yep, I know where those places are. I'm about an hour or so from there, hour and 15. So I'm near Little Rock.
cool. So I mean, I have some stuff I was gonna go over, but if you want to cover your, you said you had something to cover with.
I just wanted to share that it's turned after midnight now, but on June 28th, 2005, you guys can Google Operation Red Wings. If you've ever seen the movie Lone Survivor, Marcus Luttrell was the only survivor that day. And that was the day that we lost an entire Chinook helicopter, as well as a lot of Navy SEALs. So it's just kind of it's a big deal. And I mean, anytime a service member loses their life, but like this was a really big deal because we lost so many Navy SEALs in one swoop and so many special operators from the Army in one fell swoop. So Operation Red Wings, you can look it up. And Dover, Arkansas is like Klan area. Tell him to
I'm sorry.
move.
Did you say this happened a year ago today or yesterday? Is that what you're saying?
No, hun, June 28th, 2005. It's the
Oh,
anniversary.
2005. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's the anniversary date, or it was. It's after midnight now, but yeah, a lot of people have seen the movie Lone Survivor, and they don't understand the context of it. They don't
Oh, okay.
realize
Gotcha.
that it is a real thing. That shit really happened. I mean, those guys, you want to talk about heroes, those guys are heroes. Like Marcus Luttrell, the only one that survived, he actually got a flying cross. You know, people just don't get those every day. So,
So this was the anniversary. So I guess for those that don't know it, I mean, I'm very I've heard about this through obviously the movie, but I'm not really that familiar with it. So I guess I'll put this on for a couple minutes here, and then get you guys familiar with it, and then we'll go to the rest of the stuff I have planned here. Let me just see. Let's see here.
It was late June of 2005 in the Kunar province of Afghanistan, and 4 outnumbered U.S. Navy SEALs were pinned down, low on ammunition, and without high ground advantage. As the seconds turned into minutes, and the minutes into hours, the escape options began to run out. Over 100 insurgents steadily cornered them, and more enemy combatants swung away. Team leader Michael Murphy realized that the only hope for survival was to call in a quick reaction force, and in a heroic move, he left the safety of his cover and went straight for a clearing in the mountain to contact friendly troops, completely exposing himself to enemy fire. All the 4 wounded operators could do was wait for friendly cavalry to arrive before it was too late.
So
And-
any additional context?
yeah, I'll give you additional context. So, what it's talking about is Michael went up to the top. He was one of the guys that was one of the 4 SEALs, went to the top of a perimeter of a ridge and was able to get signal to call in comms. And 2 Chinooks came in for reinforcements, and the Taliban essentially used an RPG and shot one of them down. And I noticed in that video that they're using old Russian AK-47s. It just burns me up. Like, that stuff is so old. But yeah, that's basically the story. And, you know, how these guys held their position. I mean, like, yeah, if you've not ever seen the movie Lone Survivor or read the book, I would encourage everybody to do so if you care about military stuff. You know, it's a big deal. So
Even if you don't care about military stuff, it's still good to, like, I think, familiarize yourself with, like, some of the shit that goes down out there. And I know it's more, like, sensationalized a little bit because it's a movie, but a lot of it does come from, like, actual events. You know, maybe less the real emotional scream or cry or something like that happened, or, you know, maybe not. I don't know. I wasn't there, but it's some of these movies are pretty good, I would say, in representing what actually happened.
well, you know, Marcus Luttrell, the one that survived, he lives in Texas. He has a twin brother. Big Republican. He helped with this film, is what I understand, and gave the backstory. You know,
Awesome.
so it wasn't as sensationalized as some of that stuff usually can be.
Good. Yeah,
you know,
usually, a lot of it can be, but I love hearing when they get it right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And the rest of the story is that Marcus was actually taken in by an Afghani family.
Mm-hmm.
He was hidden, and they took him in. You know, which is a great. It could cause them to be killed. And long story short, we went over there and got him. And that Afghani family are citizens of the United States now, because we couldn't just leave them. I mean, we could have, but they would have been killed. And because they took in a Navy SEAL, they're now residents of the United States. So, right, wrong, or indifferent, people may not agree with that, but they didn't have to do that day. You know, they could have left him to his demise because he was in bad shape, like bad shape.
So you think people would be upset with that?
I think there are people that would be, because they're just idiots. And in my opinion, they don't understand the cost associated with, it's kind of like our interpreters in the Middle East that, I got so aggravated that day when, I'm a progressive, but, the day we pulled out of Afghanistan, right, wrong, or indifferent, we left a lot of people behind that had helped the United States.
Exactly.
A lot of interpreters who should have been brought here, who supported the United States, and they were essentially killed. And it's wrong.
It is wrong.
And I just, and some people are like, well, we don't need to let those people in. They're just Taliban. They're just jihadists, Well, if they're jihadists, then they would have given up positions a long time ago on some of our military troop movements and things. I mean, that's just the way.
No, it's not right. I hated that because, these people, like, they did work with us, and then it's like they're basically, like, as soon as they work with us, they're done. Like, then they're eventually going to get killed if they stay there. So leaving them behind was a death sentence, and I didn't agree with that at all. I think if they help the United States, like, it's just the price of doing business over there. Like, we got to help these people. Not helping them makes us look bad. Makes us look terrible, actually.
It makes us look really bad. And, we don't mind paying millions of dollars to Taliban freaking leaders to get the information we need. But we're going to leave an interpreter behind? Don't get me started. Just don't get me started.
Yeah.
Because I know way more than I should. So.
Yeah. So I'm just going to briefly go over this.
Rudy, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that Biden's another Jimmy Carter. I'm sorry. That's a whole other discussion. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
He was a versatile guerrilla fighter since he was a youngster. He grew up in the mountains of Kunar province and knew the region well enough, which helped him and his men move around quickly and stealthily. When American forces dared venture into his home turf, they played by Shah's rules. His guerrilla group was called the Mountain Tigers for a reason. Like the ancient mammal, they knew when and how to stalk their prey. As such, the U.S. troops had failed to capture him or neutralize his tigers. Shah was also communicating with the Taliban and other rebel groups that operated close to the Pakistani border, and his connections with other hostiles and the continuous acts of violence gave him increasing prominence. The U.S. Armed Forces had to do something radical to get rid of him. The plan. On June 27, 2005, an elite team of 4 United States Navy SEALs walked up the ramp of an MH-47 Chinook helicopter. They were heavily armed and had plenty of ammunition and supplies to live in the wilderness for several days. The SEAL Special Reconnaissance Team, or SR, comprised Lieutenant Michael Murphy and Petty Officers Second Class Marcus Luttrell, Matthew Axelson, and Danny Dietz. The men were...
So out of these guys, which one did they make the movie out of?
They made the movie out of the 4 that they're talking about right now.
These
Marcus
guys.
Luttrell, Axel, whatever, Michael Murphy. I can't think of the other guy's last name.
Gotcha.
Dietz. The men were part of Phase 1 of Operation Red Wings. As a reconnaissance force, their duty was to infiltrate the region where it was suspected that Shah was hiding and guide an action team towards the target. Phase 2 comprised the SEAL Direct Action Team. Under the guidance of the SR team, their
Can you
task
stop it just a second?
was to terminate Shah and his men.
Okay, and let me explain something. They were doing reconnaissance. They were looking for a Taliban leader. And so they sent the 4 guys in by themselves to gather intel on that situation. And, because apparently, I don't remember what the Taliban leader had done, but that was basically the first part of the plan. So it's kind of, I wanted to put in context of why they were there. So
Got it.
Go ahead.
Once done, Phase 3 would be launched, with the insertion of Marines and Afghan friendlies that would sweep through the nearby valleys to form an outer cordon and eliminate any insurgent resistance. Phase 4 then involved stabilizing the zone and providing medical needs to the local population, establishing schools, roads, and other urban necessities. Finally, Phase 5 was the exfiltration process. If enemy activity persisted, submarines would remain in the area to safeguard the population. As the sun settled on the fateful evening of June 25th, the 4 SEALs left Bagram Air Base to begin Phase 1. Approaching the area, U.S. Army Captain Matt Brady was the pilot of the MH-47 Chinook helicopter that was tasked with inserting the SEAL Special Reconnaissance Team deep into enemy territory. Brady was part of the Army's elite 160th Special Operations Regiment, or SOAR, also known as the Night Stalkers. Their job was to quietly insert the SR team and follow up with a second SEAL team the following night. As the Chinook approached the valleys surrounding Kunar province in the middle of the night, another American helicopter followed them closely to perform decoy drops and confuse the enemy. They then approached the insertion zone, and the AC-130 providing overwatch radioed Brady to let him know they were leaving due to a mechanical failure. Although such a change of plans would usually mean an instant mission abortion, Captain Brady decided to carry on with his duty, believing that the AC-130 would be back in action in no time. The insertion zone was on a ridgeline where it was impossible to land the 4 special operators. Consequently, the Chinook hovered over the landing zone and stayed above the canopy of the trees, while the commandos prepared to drop using a fast rope. As the men started to jump, Captain Brady saw through his night vision goggles that numerous lights were dotting the mountains below, which was odd for such a quiet night. One of the 4 SEALs went down and disappeared into the bushes. Brady returned to Jalalabad to link up with a second group of SEALs and the Quick Reaction Force in case the reconnaissance team was compromised.
All right, so basically they shouldn't have done this based on the situation, or it was just like whatever, we can get it done regardless.
They thought they could get it done. It wasn't until their position was compromised
Right.
that they ran into trouble. And I don't know what his name is talking about doctored footage. I mean, obviously,
Oh, he's just a troll. Don't worry about him. Don't even address it. Yeah.
They're not going to release classified information, people.
Yeah. No, he's you can't react to the trolls. Don't react to the trolls.
Oh no, I'm just saying they're not going to release, classified. They're just not.
No, he knows. He's intelligent. He's just messing with you. All right. Well, I don't know about intelligent, actually. Sorry. I don't want to compliment him that much.
Operation compromised. Once in the area of operations, Lieutenant Murphy got his men into formation and began to move across the landscape. After approaching a covered overwatch position, the 4 SEALs stumbled upon some local goat herders. From there on, the situation quickly escalated. The 4 men rounded up the goat herders while they thought of a solution, and they had an arduous debate about what to do. If they released them, the mission would be compromised, but shooting them was the only way the 4 SEALs could keep the element of surprise. After moments of tension, Lieutenant Murphy released the locals. Knowing that they were compromised, the 4 SEALs then retreated to a safe position from which they could repel an enemy attack. As expected, the Taliban...
All right, so good or bad decision?
Oh, I understand why he did it. It's part of rules of engagement, and you don't just shoot the innocent. But unfortunately, in that part of the world, a lot of these people hide as goat herders and everything else. So I don't know what decision I would have made. I mean, I think he thought he was doing the right thing, and you have to remember that one of the goat herders was an older gentleman, and one of them was a young boy. He was like, I don't remember, like, he was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I don't know what decision I would have made. What decision would you have made?
I don't know. Like, so it depends on how important, I guess, the mission is, like, or how, like, what the likelihood of getting out would be. If it's like a situation where we're not going to be able to get out 100%, and if these people talk, like, we're fucked. I don't like it, but I mean, I got to protect the soldiers, the people I'm with. You know what I mean? Unless there's a way to, like, compromise and somehow, like, disable them in a way where we don't kill them, but they can't talk. You know what I mean? It's kind of a fucked up situation. But I think it's more important to protect the interest of the people I'm with and obviously the country than it is to keep somebody alive that is an enemy. I mean, right? That's the way you have to look at it in that situation. I don't know. You know more than me.
Well, and there are good people over there. I was in Kuwait. I was never in Afghanistan or Iraq, but and my time in the military was completely different time than present day. But
Right.
I'm kind of with you. I mean, I'm just gonna say this, and people can take what they want to with that. Hard decisions are made every day in war, and right, wrong, or indifferent. Yeah, you can be brought up on war crimes and different things. You can be court-martialed for different things.
Right.
But in the case of an elite group like the Navy SEALs, those guys are making really tough decisions. And I can promise you that they have gone outside of the perimeters of the rules of engagement in order to protect each other.
Right, and it's been done before, and it will be done
Yeah.
again. It's not that I morally agree with it. It's just, are we really being the nice guy out in war? And I don't know. I'm not faulting him for his decision. I don't know what I would have done in that scenario, but I don't know. It seems like that decision is kind of what screwed him over. But
and they thought they were innocent, and again, it's a hard position to be in, and I don't know if Child's still up here. I don't know what decision he would have made, but
he's here.
I mean, it depends where my men were spread out at. It depends on a lot of things what my decision would be. I mean, I haven't seen enough to determine what my decision would be, honestly.
Well, you got to keep in mind they only like one of them was compromised, and when he was, that's when the decision was made for them to come out, because they were all relatively.
No, you can't come out for me, nah.
Yeah, you were all in the same relative space. They were horribly close, but
no, I see what Mr. Pete was saying. No, I can't compromise the whole team, the mission, and everything else because I'm captured. I'm honestly.
No, they weren't capture him. I think you're misunderstanding that. This was a situation where it was goat herders, and he just happened to have allegiance to the Taliban. And because let's be honest, there's two kinds of people in the Middle East. Either you love the Taliban or you're.
What I'm saying is, did our soldier know that he was compromised?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, you can't go back to the squad. You can't go back to the team.
And those guys don't leave anybody behind, and they just don't.
Or you got to find a way to contact them, but you got to tell them, hey, look, I've been compromised.
Well, and comms were not working either. That was another issue. It was just,
yeah. They in a lot of spots they were blocking devices.
The mountain.
The decision was really about like them coming across the goat herders and whether they should leave them alive, which would eventually compromise them, or to take them out. So they couldn't do that.
Leave them alive, because if you don't, the American people throw fits about that shit, and I being one of them. You don't do collateral damage.
But nobody would have known. That's the issue. We're talking in the middle of a mountain where no one's there but two goat herders and 4 Navy SEALs.
Yeah, but still, I mean, my morals say you don't take them damn people out, because
there's not a bad decision. I mean, they did the same thing.
You could assume that they're gonna turn you in and they're gonna be bad people, but then again, they could be good people, and then you murder them for no reason.
And that's the predicament. That's what we're talking about, because consequently, they went no sooner than they were free, because they had cuffed them, tied them up or whatever. No sooner than they were cut loose, they got on the radio and called the Taliban.
Did the goat herders get the drop on them and see them, or did they just engage the goat herders?
No, hun, I don't think you're hearing what I'm telling you. You have Navy SEALs, 4 Navy SEALs sitting in a close proximity to each other, like maybe 25 feet from each other, or another one maybe 50 feet from the other.
And did the goat herders come upon them, or did
Yeah,
they? Okay, all right.
that's what I'm saying. Their position
Oh
was.
yeah, yeah. Well, they should have arrested them and sent them off somewhere.
Well, who are they going to send them to?
I don't know. Shit, you better figure something out. That's a compromise of the mission.
Right, but you don't have the. I don't think you get what I'm saying. Like in their case, they don't have the ability to carry.
We got a rendezvous point somewhere. They're gonna have to sit there with the rendezvous homies.
No, that's not how this works. No, they're not going to hump out two
Got it.
guys that are not bills. I'm just telling you.
I'm
No,
just saying, I'm working
no.
in an engagement of guerrilla warfare. I ain't doing that government warfare stuff. They gonna have to sit with the rendezvous homies. Shit, they're gonna just sit there and wait until the mission's over. Then we'll
I
let
think
you
I think
go.
he's right. I think Exile's right. Yeah. So that
Then
would
we'll let you go.
So you can have baggage along the way. I mean, normally these guys.
No, they're sitting with the people that are sitting with the airship, just waiting to lift you out of there when everything's complete.
It's not. You don't get it. I feel
No,
like
Amanda, move on. He's just trolling. He's just messing with you.
No, I'm just saying. I told you I don't got enough details. I started saying that.
you're in a mountain that is so steep that you have to rappel down it.
So basically, let's not complicate it. You only have two decisions: keep him alive and they tell on you, or kill him and nobody knows. What decision are you making?
I'm going to
That's
put
it,
this in terms for you. No fucking Navy SEAL is going to carry some fucking prisoners down the side of a damn mountain and compromise their position in this country. Point blank, period.
There you go.
Why not? Good human
Because
shit.
they don't. I have a friend that's a former Navy SEAL. They don't. They're the best.
Man, I'm just joking. I said, why not? Good human shields. I'm just kidding here, okay?
Okay, quit wasting our time here. Go ahead and hit the button.
I know the Marines. They handle stuff professionally.
These are Navy SEAls.
Oh,
Yeah, don't listen to him. It's fine.
And over 50 armed combatants. Murphy, Dietz, Axelson, and Luttrell then engaged the enemy with pinpoint accuracy using their M4 rifles from concealed positions. However, their combined firepower was not enough to repel an enemy with the upper edge and knowledge of the battlefield, terrain advantage, and more importantly, the numbers. The SEALs were pushed deeper into a ravine, and the insurgents began launching a series of coordinated attacks from 3 directions as they retreated. Although the Americans managed to take down over a dozen of them, the advance was persistent, and the SEALs attempted to reach the bottom of the mountain to get to safe ground, but there was no way out. Urgent help. Almost an hour into the fight, Dietz attempted to find open air to make a distress call, but he was shot in the hand when he tried to do it. When Murphy noticed that Dietz was wounded, he left his cover and wholly exposed himself to enemy fire while placing the distress call on open ground. While the enemy directed their AK-47 fire on him, he managed to establish contact with Bagram Air Base and requested immediate assistance. The situation was now...
What's that?
When he was up on that ridge line, they shot and killed him, but he did make comms.
Oh, okay, got it. All right. This thing is so friggin' crooked. It's driving me crazy.
Out of control, and they needed all the help they could get. And they needed it fast. While making the call, Murphy was shot multiple times, including a lethal shot in the back that forced him to drop the transmitter, but he held his ground and kept fighting. Severely wounded, Lieutenant Murphy limped back to his men and continued emptying magazine after magazine to contain the horde of insurgents that had surrounded them. The fate of the 4 hardened SEALs now rested on the shoulders of the operators from the Quick Reaction Force. Quick Reaction Force. When the SR team contacted Bagram Air Base for immediate support, the men back on the base could not believe it. Captain Brady was baffled, but honoring his code, The Night Stalkers from the 160th got ready for direct insertion into the hot zone. 2 Chinooks, codenamed Turbine 33 and Turbine 34, took off immediately. Each was carrying 8 Navy SEALs and 8 Night Stalkers. The Chinooks were assisted by Black Hawks and Cobras to neutralize the enemy while they landed. However, knowing that this formation would only slow them down, the Quick Reaction Force raced through the air to assist their brothers in arms. The main risk was getting shot down in the middle of a combat zone in plain daylight. Still, the men were committed to their objective and headed straight towards the last known location provided by Murphy. When Turbine 33 sighted a possible insertion zone in the area, it hovered down and lowered the ramp for the men to deploy. But a rocket-propelled grenade emerged from the tree line as the ramp came down and flew straight into the Chinook. The projectile exploded inside before any operator managed to leave the helicopter. The Chinook then went for a spin before crashing down right into the terrain below the mountain. Turbine 34 watched helplessly as the situation unfolded, but they were immediately ordered to get back to base. Most men did not want to leave, and one SEAL even threatened the pilots to get him down to help his 4 brothers, but there was nothing to do except follow the orders. The men then headed back to base to regroup and coordinate another offensive, as the combat zone was packed with enemies, and it would take a more organized effort to break through.
Yeah, so that's pretty bad. This is like a pretty failed mission at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they're deep in enemy territory, and it was compromised. And right, wrong, or indifferent, they went into that ravine, and they were surrounded up above. I mean, it's just bad situation.
Does this I mean, this is a big. This was obviously covered by a movie. I mean, this was news. I mean, does this stuff happen every day and we don't hear about it, or is it was this kind of like a major screw up?
You know, I can't. These big things have happened in the past. We have a Navy SEAL from Arkansas that was killed in a big operation. I'm sure there are classified missions done every day in this country that are failed, that we will never know about.
Got it. Why did we hear about this one?
I can't answer that. I wasn't there.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah, I can't answer that. I don't know. I think part of it was the fact that Marcus Luttrell was taken in.
Yeah.
And because they were in enemy territory behind where they really shouldn't have been, but again, it's part of war. The United States had to put on a good face. So I don't know. That's a great question. If I ever meet Marcus Luttrell, I'll ask him. I'd love to meet him. So no sound.
Verified.
My
Against
fault.
Overwhelming odds, the area was effort to break through. A desperate fight. The situation on the ground was desperate for the wounded Navy SEALs. They were pinned down, surrounded, and cornered. There was no way out, and ammunition was running short. Almost 2 hours into the firefight, against overwhelming odds, the area was surrounded by nearly 35 fallen insurgents. Dietz had perished bravely, firing at the enemy until his 5 wounds took their toll on his body. And Lieutenant Murphy was also gone after getting pinned down by the enemy. Axelson and Luttrell were hiding together inside a small hollow, and their last hope of survival was the Quick Reaction Force, but they did not know that they had returned to base. Both men only had enough ammunition for their pistols, but while firing at the insurgents, a grenade launcher hit near Luttrell and sent him down the mountain, leaving him unconscious. When he woke up, he realized he was on his own, and the enemy was furiously hunting him down. Dehydrated, with his legs wounded by bullets and shrapnel, and 3 vertebrae cracked during the fall, Luttrell mustered all the strength he had left to make it out alive. He managed to evade the enemy for an entire day before stumbling upon a small village where the locals miraculously aided him. Luttrell was taken care of, fed, and given medical attention by the family of Mohammed Gulab for almost 3 days. The Pashtunwali villagers did not say anything when the Taliban showed up to reclaim Luttrell. Meanwhile, the villagers had sent a runner to the closest American base. and a few days later, a team of Army Rangers successfully extracted Luttrell.
Huh?
So that kind of comes full circle. Do you think that because the way that they handled the locals, that had something to do with him being taken care of by those folks, by the townspeople?
No.
What do you? I guess I'm not following your question.
Well, I mean, he was in a situation where he was, he was on his own. He was pretty much screwed, and then the locals there took him in and took care of him at the end.
Yeah. I mean, he took a gamble. I mean, it was a gamble for him to go into that village. He had no ammunition anymore. He was in dire straits, obviously in very bad shape.
But my point is do you think that by not killing the goat herders, that had anything to do with them taking care of him, or no?
No, I don't think so, because take out of the equation that they were, quote, goat herders. They were members of the Taliban. They did that. Just happened to be goat herders too.
Got it.
The gentleman and the family, I think it's the Pasha. I can't remember the name of that particular family group there in that village, but there are certain from a certain tribe in Afghanistan. I think they knew they were taking a gamble, but I also think they knew they were doing the right thing.
Yeah,
and
I got you.
Yeah, and there's pictures, and you can go online. You can follow Marcus Luttrell, and there's even a picture, I think, in the back of the book, but don't quote me on that, of him with that family in the United States. So
very cool. All right. So, anything else you want to quote before we close out on this one? Anything
no,
add?
No, it's just it's a memorable day. It's a bittersweet day. I was not in the Navy. I was in the Army, but the Army did aid in this venture. I dated a Ranger at one time who consequently didn't die in war. He died in a car wreck, but they're the best of the best too. So anyway, I just encourage everybody, if you like to read, get the book. The book is fantastic. So another good book is The American Sniper. It's another great one. It's about Chris Kyle.
Yeah, I read that book. That is a good book.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking real heroes. I was a nobody. These guys are the best of the best. So anyway, may they rest in peace.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Just give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up the next thing here. Just want to get rid of this echo.
I honestly thought you was the echo.
Am I echoing? I did mute because the bird was barking.
We're gonna take on the world. Take on the world. Standing up tall. We gotta make it our own. No waiting around. Winners would never look down. No one can stop us, we got it. The future is right in our hands. Give it 100%. We gonna take on the world.
All right,
Hey,
so I'm pretty much going to move on to the next thing I was going to do. I just prepared like a little thing on a little bit of a space topic. I don't know
can
if
I
you guys want
say
to stick
something
around
real
for it
quick?
or
I promise I'll shut up.
yeah,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead, go for it.
Rudy, fuck Jesse the body Ventura. Fuck him and fuck his opinion about Chris Kyle. Sorry, Mr. P. I know you don't like the F word. I have a sailor's mouth sometimes. And Chris Kyle is another American hero, and that's all I'm going to say. There you go. Go ahead. I apologize.
So I missed the whole thing. What happened?
Rudy was just putting in the chat what Jesse Ventura, whatever the hell his name is, said about Chris Kyle. And
Oh, okay,
I
got it.
we don't veterans don't take criticism from idiots, and nothing infuriates me more than people who have honorably served. And don't get me started, it just makes my blood boil. Anyway, continue. I digress.
All right. So yeah, I've been there was some news that came in recently on Enceladus. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Enceladus or not. And basically, it's just one of Saturn's moons, and it just kind of got me going back to Saturn. We covered Jupiter last time and the Galilean moons, which is pretty cool. And Enceladus now they found something that's got them pretty excited. So I'm gonna go over that, and then we'll just actually gonna cover Saturn first, and then we can cover the news after. But it got me looking at it, and Saturn is one of my favorite planets. Not only because it's just probably one of the coolest ones, but it has a lot of unique features. It, believe it or not, it actually radiates it radiates about 1.5% or 2 times the amount of energy that it receives from the sun. So it's actually it's a gaseous planet that's very similar to the sun in terms of its makeup, but just never ignited and became a planet. It's got cool things with the rings. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff. So I'm just going to take it a couple things at a time, and I basically clipped everything so we can kind of just go slowly, and then if you guys have questions, we can stop and kind of go over it. But it's a lot of cool stuff. I think space is one of the coolest things, at least in my opinion. We're stuck on the planet Earth, and this is just stuff we can just imagine. We can't really get to see it in person, but with some of the satellites and things that we send up, we're finally like getting like really good ideas and pictures of what things actually look like out there. So let me just start with the basics, and then I'll kind of get into a lot of the details. So let's start with this one, and I think hopefully I put this in order correctly. We shall see. All right.
We need sound, brother.
You need to tap it for sound.
Saturn is big. It's a gas giant with an average radius about 9 times that of Earth, making it the second biggest planet in our solar system.
Can't hardly hear it.
I say average radius because its equatorial and polar radii differ by almost 10%. It's 60,000 kilometers at the equator compared to 54,000 kilometers from pole to pole. With an average density of around 0.7 grams per centimeter cubed, it is only 1/8 the average density of Earth. However, because its volume is so large, Saturn's mass is over 95 Earths. This low density makes Saturn the lightest planet per cubic centimeter by far, and it's the only planet of the solar system that is less dense than water, about 30% less. So if you had a bath toy of Saturn that shares the same density as the planet, it would float. This is because Saturn is 96% hydrogen, which is the lightest of the elements. However, average density doesn't tell the full picture of what a planet is like. Saturn is classified as a gas giant because what we see of the planet is simply gas. It doesn't have a rocky surface under the cloud layer. However, Saturn is most certainly not gaseous all the way through. It's got too much mass for that. You see, the further into Saturn you go, the higher the pressure builds. Eventually, the pressure becomes so great that the hydrogen stops behaving like a gas and starts acting like a liquid. So, in a way, under Saturn's atmosphere is a liquid hydrogen ocean. Even further below that, it may be that there is a metallic hydrogen layer, where the pressure is so great that hydrogen starts acting like a metal. And beneath that could be a metallic and rocky core. We do know that Saturn has a very hot interior, reaching 11,700 degrees Celsius at the core. This is twice as hot as the surface of the Sun. If we look at Saturn through the infrared, we can see Saturn's glow, represented in brilliant shades of electric blue, sapphire, and mint green. On the night side, where there is no sunlight, Saturn's own thermal radiation lights things up. This light is generated deep within Saturn, and it works its way upward, eventually escaping into space. In fact, this infrared image reveals that Saturn radiates 2.5 times more energy into space than it receives from the Sun.
In fact,
yeah, so just checking the sound there. Yeah, so pretty cool. Gaseous all the way through, and like basically like the Sun is made of hydrogen, right? And then at some point it gets so dense that it basically ignites and forms a fusion reaction, and then forms what we know as the Sun. This is almost like it's 94% hydrogen, so it's almost as if it could have been a Sun, but it failed, and then now it just has like more of a consistent gaseous reaction there. But at the end of the day, they don't know this, but they think it has a core. Did I just knock off? Oh, never mind. They think it has what's that?
He had to go.
Oh, okay. Can you hear okay, or you good?
Yeah, I'm gonna mute because I apologize. She's playing right now. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, so it's basically, at the end of the day, gaseous planets are very similar to suns to an extent, but they're they just never ignited, and for whatever reason, whether it's a different chemical makeup or something that happened, it just allowed it to form the way it is. But what's incredible about Saturn, I think, is its ability to radiate energy, number one, and then number two, the winds on Saturn, like I want to say it's like 1,000 kilometers per second consistently. So like it's just a constant like storm down there. So it's pretty cool. The other part that I love about Saturn is it's very similar to Jupiter in the sense where it has a pretty big gravitational field, and then on top of that, it is able to have I think it's like 60 or 70 moons. In particular, the big ones that were mentioned, in the video initially. So pretty cool stuff. Let's go on to the second one. It starts to get pretty interesting. And let me see here. It's hard to do this on a phone, guys. I'm gonna upgrade my setup. All right.
From the Sun. You may not have noticed, but Saturn's atmosphere has a banded pattern similar to Jupiter's. If you increase the contrast when you look at images of Saturn, this becomes more apparent. Saturn's bands are much less chaotic than Jupiter's, however, and are much wider near the equator. And ever wondered why Saturn is yellow? It's believed to be due to ammonia crystals in the upper atmosphere. But while the atmosphere of Saturn may appear calm, the planet is actually extremely active. The winds on Saturn are the second fastest among the solar system's planets after Neptune. They can be a blistering 1,800 kilometers per hour. Visible storms are also known to appear on Saturn, like this one that lasted just under a year in 2011. It had been the pattern that every 30 or so Earth years, the planet produces what is called a great white spot, which is a unique but short-lived phenomenon believed to occur once every Saturnian year. However, we have spotted a few of them over the last 30 years. If it does follow a 30-year pattern though, we can expect another one any time now. Sadly, even if it does happen, we will only be able to see it through the Hubble Space Telescope, as the Cassini mission ended a few years back. Saturn has plenty of smaller storms too, where lightning is often produced. Cassini has even detected the sound of thunder. While this might sound weak, the sound you are hearing is actually the radio waves produced by the lightning converted to audio. In reality, lightning on Saturn is about 1,000 times more powerful than what we see on Earth. Still talking about storms, but moving on to the planet's poles, we find that each pole has giant, permanent storms. NASA reported in November 2006 that Cassini had observed a hurricane-like storm locked to the South Pole that had a clearly defined eye wall. Eye wall clouds had not previously been seen on any planet other than Earth. The ring is similar to the eye wall of a hurricane, but much larger. The clear air in the center is warm like the eye of a hurricane, but on Saturn it is locked to the pole, whereas a hurricane on Earth drifts around.
It is.
Yeah, sounds good on my end, Amanda. I think it's just, for whatever reason, it's not good when you're up here. And I agree, it doesn't work that well through StreamYard. That's why I monitor it on YouTube. But yeah, pretty insane, right? Like kind of similar to Jupiter, you get these like huge storms, and you can literally see them like in the satellite image where you get this like white mark that goes across. So I can't imagine like what that would be like. I mean, probably couldn't imagine it because we just literally, if it happened to us, we'd be ripped apart in seconds. But you know, it's kind of cool that you have these like giant storms that are pretty much, I would say, the size of like the planet, like our planet. So like, you can try to fathom that. Lightning, that's pretty cool. Again, I think if you heard in the video, you're not hearing the actual lightning, but you're getting the static feedback from it. So it's that intense that it could actually detect that. So if you can imagine a lightning 1,000 times more powerful than what you see here, I mean, guys, that would be like, it would just be like vaporizing like buildings. Like if you literally had one of those conductors to bring it through like they do in the tall buildings, it would literally blast the entire building into pieces in 1 second. That's how intense it would be. Good morning, Ivy. Oh, okay, gotcha. That's awesome, man. Maybe we can kind of go over that next if you want to do like a show and tell. Pretty cool. But the thing that I really think is super cool is the weird hexagonal shape that is at the poles. Like, what the heck? And you just have essentially just a permanent storm that sits there. They've done like tests where they've experimented where they can get that shape to occur with certain convection, by basically having like certain convection patterns will actually get that to happen. But it is like super weird that it does that. It makes me think that basically the whole planet is just a giant spinning ball of gas, like spinning super hard, and just that those poles are really the result of what's going on around the entire planet. Not like it's just like a hurricane that doesn't move forever. It's more like I don't know, like water that's constantly spinning around, and the vortex is just there. But maybe they're one and the same. I don't know. I'm just riffing here. Yeah. Well, we're gonna get into the rings next. So the rings are gonna be made of a couple different things. But I'll let the video kind of go through that, and then we'll break it down. So any other questions? Any comments? Before we move on. Don't you even type it, Meme. I know you're thinking of something clever. As a matter of fact, let me get ahead of you here. Put this on before you have a chance. All right, boom.
the North Pole is even more unusual. There is a persistent hexagon-shaped storm that rotates with the planet, not with the atmosphere. The straight sides of the polar hexagon are each about 13,800 kilometers long, making them larger than the diameter of the Earth. Why does this happen, and to such a large scale? Well, we don't really know. However, the speed differential and the viscosity parameters between atmospheric bands here are likely to be within certain margins to allow such an unusual polygon to form. Lab tests have since been done where polygons could form in a circular tank of liquid, rotated at different speeds at its center and near the outer boundary. So this is the leading theory at the moment. Interestingly, towards the center of this hexagon, another eye wall can be found. While not anywhere near as strong as Jupiter's, Saturn does have a magnetosphere, potentially generated in the metallic hydrogen layer of the planet. It is large, extending far beyond the planet, and it is strong enough to deflect solar wind from the sun. And much like other planets with magnetospheres, Saturn has auroras. Their location and brightness strongly depend on the solar wind pressure. The auroras become brighter and move closer to the poles when the solar wind pressure increases. The same process produces auroras on both Earth and Saturn, where electrons from the solar wind stream along the magnetic field lines directed into the upper atmosphere. There, they collide with atoms and molecules, exciting them to higher energies. The atoms and molecules release this added energy by radiating light at different colors and wavelengths. On Earth, this light is mostly from oxygen atoms and nitrogen molecules. On Saturn, it is from hydrogen. The rings for me are one of the highlights of the planet. Saturn has a prominent ring system that consists of 10 continuous main rings. While they are mainly named after letters of the alphabet, the naming conventions are a little confusing, so bear with me.
Okay, so I mean, what did we learn there? Yeah, well, not everyone, but what did we learn there? That was basically the most important thing is that Saturn has a pretty big magnetosphere, and it's way more intense than what we have on Earth, but it serves the same purpose to basically protect the planet from solar radiation. Things bounce off, but because it has that layer of protection, it also is going to have the same type of thing we have, which is the auroras. And for those that don't know exactly what an aurora is, I'm not an expert, but I can tell you that radiation gets drawn to the poles, the two strongest points, and then excites the different atoms around the atmosphere there. So, for example, oxygen, nitrogen, etc. And by exciting them with radiation, then you get a glow of color, and that's how it works. So when you see it on planet Earth, essentially it's just the sun having a little bit of a flare, and we get a nice blast of radiation. The planet protects us. We're usually good, and we get a cool light show because of it. So, cool little thing here. Okay, anything else there? I think that was pretty straightforward. Now we're getting into the rings. So the rings are going to be, believe it or not, they're named and they're organized, and they are made up of a combination of either dust or water vapor. And it's going to be interesting because sometimes it's a pretty even concentration of both. Sometimes it's just one or the other, and even the moons get affected by the rings. So let me get into that section here. Okay, we just did that one, I think, right? Hopefully it's this one.
So bear with me. The first 5 rings, from the closest to the planet outward, are the D ring, which is very faint, the C ring, B ring, which is the brightest and widest of all the rings, A ring, which is the last of the large bright rings, and then the F ring. The rings extend from 66,000 kilometers to 140,000 kilometers above Saturn's center, and are made up mostly of water ice with small amounts of dust and rocks. If we look in the ultraviolet at a section of the brightest rings, it shows there is more ice towards the outer part of the rings than in the inner part. The red in the image indicates sparser ringlets, likely made of dirty and possibly smaller particles than in the icier turquoise ringlets. If we look at a picture representing radio occultation, we can judge the size of the individual particles that make up the rings. Color is used to represent information about ring particle sizes based on the measured effects of 3 radio signals. Shades of red show regions where particles are larger than 5 centimeters in diameter, green shows particles smaller than 5 centimeters, and blues show particles less than 1 centimeter in size. Overall, it's thought that particles in the rings aren't bigger than 10 meters, and most are microscopic in size. The main rings are thought to be as little as 10 meters thick to 1 kilometer thick. We can see that the rings are not perfectly symmetrical. During the planet's equinox, the rings can get a bit wonky. Look at the top of this video where the B ring meets the A ring. Zooming in on this structure reveals ridges and spokes a couple of kilometers tall, their presence given away by their shadows. Zooming out again, we can see the scale of how many spokes there are during this period. Oscillations happen all the time in the rings though, perhaps due to the presence of a shepherd moon, or even just naturally. The differences, which can be seen all in only a day, can be up to 200 kilometers. So I've talked about the D, C, B and A rings and also mentioned the F ring. The F ring can also get quite wonky and has a perfect example of what is called a shepherd moon. It's called Prometheus, and it leaves a beautiful ripple in the F ring as it orbits. Once during its 14.7-hour orbit of Saturn, Prometheus, which is only 102 kilometers across, reaches the point in its elliptical path where it is farthest away from Saturn and closest to the F ring. At this point, Prometheus's gravity is just strong enough to draw a streamer of material out of the core region of the F ring, and that's what causes these ripples.
That was a lot to unpack. I mean, I guess it's straightforward, but there's just kind of all like a bunch of subjects all in one section there. Excuse me. So there's naming convention, obviously. We don't got to go over every little thing, but the idea is that when you look at that map there, a lot of the rings towards the middle or towards the center of the planet, or closest to the planet, I should say, are made of rock and microscopic, particles or solids. And then you have the middle, all the way up towards the end, is more, concentrated with water and water vapor. So you have those different elements that's going to create different colors and reflections and all kinds of stuff, and essentially that is what the rings are made of, just particles. And then you've seen that moon there. I already forgot the name of it. Was it Phobos, or am I thinking of the one on Mars? I think I might be thinking of the one on Mars. Anyways, it's a small rocky moon. It's got a weird orbit. And it affects the rings to give it the oscillation, so that was cool. But yeah, pretty good stuff. So let's go over to the next thing here, the F word ring. Yeah, you're coming up with all the good ones today, bud. Let me see. And I think that was pretty. I don't feel like I missed something on that one. We got the rings, and was there anything else? I think that was it. I feel like I had something else on that. I forgot it, but. Let's see.
causes these ripples. So, what comes after the F ring? Well, this is where it gets confusing. First, you have the Janus or Epimetheus ring, the G ring, Palleni ring, and then the E ring. I find this picture amazing, as these rings are much more visible being backlit by the sun. This bright blue ring is the E ring, and you can just about see the faint Palleni ring at the top of this picture. The G ring is the next distinct ring, and again you can just about see the Janus or Epimetheus ring at the top below it. And can you see us? We are all in this picture too. Here's Earth and the Moon. The very last ring is the newly discovered Phoebe ring, a huge yet dispersed ring that extends far beyond Saturn. It's so large that if it were visible from Earth, its apparent diameter would be the size of 2 full moons across. It probably originated from Saturn's 200-kilometer wide moon Phoebe, which had been battered in its past. Phoebe orbits just outside of the ring, and probably keeps this dust contained from going outward. On the other hand, it is also suspected that dust in this ring is falling inward, eventually falling into Iapetus, Saturn's outermost regular moon. It has a bizarre combination of colors, because dust from the Phoebe ring settles on it. But because Iapetus is tidally locked, only one side of the moon ever faces Saturn, with the backside of it exposed to the Phoebe ring, meaning its two faces look very different. So now you know about the rings. I think you'll agree that they are so interesting in their own right. Theories abound as to why they are there, but we simply don't know. We know that some of the moons are responsible for some of the material there, and we also know that some of the material there is responsible for some of the moons. And talking of moons, Saturn has at least 82 of them. They come in all shapes and sizes, and most uniquely, Saturn's largest moon, Titan, which is even bigger than Mercury, is the only moon in the solar system with a thick atmosphere around it, which I have done a separate video about here. I'm also going to throw in here that Saturn has the Death Star orbiting it, biding its time. We call it Mimas.
Yeah, so pretty cool stuff. I love the part about the moon collecting the dust on it. It's like it literally gets like painted by the dust. And then the other part being that it's actually only one side. So you have one side that's getting painted and kind of has that cool shape, that cool look to it, and then the other side isn't even getting touched by it, so it looks completely different. So I thought that was cool. Again, the big thing they just discovered, which is I think the Phoebe ring. Yeah, massive ring goes around the entire planet, and pretty far out. It's actually, to me, it's kind of similar to hang on. To me, it's kind of similar to the way it works with the sun. So, for example, sorry about that. For example, have you guys ever seen the like the asteroid belt around, or know about the asteroid belt around the planet, around the sun? Actually, I should say. It's a massive belt of debris that just like literally rotates around the outer edges of our solar system, and it's just based on like a certain amount of gravity just happens to work, and that's it just collects in that ring. It's kind of similar to that, similar characteristics. It has a huge gravitational field, but it's just on a smaller scale than what you would see with the sun. So I imagine it's very similar. On a side note, I don't know if you guys have ever I think it's the Viking 1 and the Viking 2. I think that was the two satellites that went out in the 70s. and those things are just continue going outward and outward, and they've been literally reporting data since the 70s. Like, guys, what? And it's still out there. So anyways, I think both satellites were able to successfully report they got beyond the gravitational pull of the sun, which you have to imagine is like this huge bubble, and there's like it's all, I'm not like if I can explain this right, but it's almost as if you're in this bubble, and then the minute you get out of it, like the winds change all of a sudden, and you're in something completely different. That's basically what the craft experienced, and we've successfully sent both beyond that distance. So if you can imagine that, it's just insane. It's insane that thing lasted since the 70s. I can't believe that. Anyways, pretty cool stuff. So let's we'll finish this up here. Brand. Did he? Good. That's probably why.
30 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's cool. That makes sense. And let me finish this up here, which is this one. So we did Saturn. I think we did the ring one. No, don't do that. No.
Causes these ripples. So, what comes after the F ring? Well, this is where it gets confusing. First, you have the Janus or Epimetheus ring, the G ring, Palleni ring, and then the E ring. We call it Mimas. Generally though, most of Saturn's moons are very small, only a few kilometers across. Lastly, I'm going to talk about Saturn's orbit. Saturn orbits about 9 to 10 times further away from the Sun than Earth does, and 1 year on Saturn takes 30 Earth years. Funnily enough, a day on Saturn is different depending on where you are situated. At the equator or at the poles, a day lasts about 10 hours and 14 minutes. Everywhere else on Saturn, a day lasts 10 hours and 38 minutes. The issue is, because Saturn isn't solid, it's not bound to rotate at the same speed all over. I just want to leave you with this. Few sights in the solar system are more strikingly beautiful than softly hued Saturn embraced by the shadow of its rings. The gas planet's subtle northward gradation from gold to azure is a striking visual effect that scientists don't fully understand. Current thinking says that it may be related to seasonal influences, tied to the cold temperatures in the winter hemisphere, and despite all that we have learned from Cassini, Saturn remains a world of mystery. Thanks for watching. Did you enjoy this video? Then please like and share it. Your support really helps this channel to grow so I can make videos like these in the future. A big thank you as well to my patrons and members.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool stuff. Just a nice little summary video of the planet. There's a lot more. He dives into each of the planets and everything, and all the different characteristics. Titan is probably one of the coolest moons. I don't know if it's going to have the best chance for a life, but it's just like, just imagine like a planet that is just so covered in atmosphere, that it's just like you literally can't even see the actual planet. It's just like a big ball of gas. Pretty interesting. And then you have Enceladus and Iapetus, I believe what the other one is, and it's just so cool. But yeah, if you guys want to know more, obviously let me know and I'll start getting into the moons. If not, we can just F off on the Saturn. But hopefully you guys learned something new today with Saturn. All right, so let's see. Big ball of smelly gas. Yeah, I know. That's why I'd probably get that looked at, man. You know, if that's what your day is like. You know, it's not good. People aren't supposed to smell like that. But I'm gonna leave this open here for a few more minutes. I think it's Banana that is live, or Ham Banana.
Is live. So is the shit show.
Oh, the shit show's live.
Looks like they just started.
Oh, I was gonna say that's I didn't think they. I looked at it. Usually it starts at 12, so that's interesting.
Yeah, he's been starting way later.
Oh, okay, yeah, he is live. Okay, got it. So let me see. Is that 3 hours ago?
But don't say that name.
No, I'm not. Hold on, I want to see it because if people are at the shit show, I want to send them, make sure they know where to go. Subscriptions. No, I don't think the shit show's live, is it? Oh, it is.
Yeah, it just
it just started. Wow. Okay. Cool. So, yeah, guys, shit show is live. I guess they just started, so we'll probably head over there. Also, if you like kind of nice sarcasm and pretty interesting personality, you have Ham Banana as well. Got a big load of people over there. But yeah, by all means, I'm just going to close it out with a little news article, and then you guys can have a good night doing whatever you want. This is what was recently discovered on Enceladus.
Scientists say there's a place in our solar system outside of Earth that has the chemical makeup to potentially support life. That place is Enceladus, Saturn's sixth largest moon. Researchers pored over data collected by a joint NASA-European spacecraft mission and found the moon's ocean contains phosphorus, which is found in human teeth and bones, as well as DNA. This is the first time the element has been discovered in an ocean that's not on our planet. CBS News space consultant Bill Harwood joins me now from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So, Bill, this is fantastic, I think. So they found phosphorus on this moon. Scientists say that means it could support life. So what's next? What do we do with this discovery?
Well, you know, one of the critical things to keep in mind, John, is first of all, they already knew that organic compounds and other molecules that are necessary for life as we know it existed in this subsurface ocean on Enceladus. But the phosphorus is the least abundant of these kinds of ingredients. And finding that really adds strength to the case that Enceladus has a possibly habitable environment under its frozen crust. You know, they think there's an ocean under the surface of Enceladus that may possibly be an abode for life. Of course, just because the ingredients are there doesn't mean life is there. They need to study this a lot more. They need to send additional spacecraft down the road, and they certainly want to do that. But for right now, it sure makes a strong case.
Now, before we get to the nuts and bolts about how they figure this stuff out, when we're talking about life here, I mean, what are we realistically talking about? I mean, are we talking about enormous things, or are we maybe talking about some microbes?
We're probably talking about microbial life. You know, and a key point there, though, is, you know, we say life as we know it. You know, what does that mean? Well, we only have one sample of life, and that's life on Earth. So we look for the chemical processes that allow, you know, DNA and self-replicating cells as they developed on Earth. You're looking for similar processes somewhere else that could perhaps lead to that sort of life on that world. Does that mean there couldn't be some other way to come up with life? And I suppose there could be, but we can only look for the stuff that we know something about, and that's life as we know it on Earth.
And as we're looking for the stuff we know about, how do we go about looking for it? You mentioned that there's an ocean under the frozen ice. So how do we go about, you know, dipping the old pH strip? I mean, how does this happen?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. You know, the neat thing about Enceladus is they have these geysers on the south polar regions of the moon that are spewing out water vapor, you know, icy, salty ice particles from that subsurface ocean that are venting out through cracks in the crust. And they've analyzed those. The Cassini spacecraft you referenced at the top flew through those plumes. You know, a cosmic dust collector on that spacecraft actually collected some of these grains that they could study, and that's how they detected the presence of phosphorus. So they know there's water under the surface. The question is, how do you find out more about that, barring drilling down into that ice and seeing what's there? I mean, ideally, that's what you'd like to do, but doing that at the distance of Saturn with a robotic spacecraft is a tall order. And I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
And I understand that NASA has plans.
Unfortunately.
Right, exactly. I want this tomorrow. And NASA has plans, though, to explore another moon in our solar system that may also have this mix or a similar mix. Tell us about that mission.
Yeah, that's called the Europa Clipper. That's a multi-billion-dollar mission NASA plans to launch the next couple of years. It's not only going to explore Europa, which is a moon that they think is a prime candidate for a subsurface ocean with possibly habitable environment. It's also going to make repeated flybys of 3 other moons in the system, including Ganymede and Callisto, which are very large moons that have those same sorts of frozen crust. And on top of the NASA mission, the Europeans just launched a spacecraft called JUICE. It stands for the Jupiter Icy Moons mission that's going to go to Jupiter also and look for more signs of habitable environments, all in this thirst, I'll call it, to find out if it's possible that life could exist somewhere else in this solar system. That's a big deal in astrobiology, and these spacecraft are going to certainly go see what they can find out in that regard.
Well, it's a big deal in my house where we know nothing about astrobiology. It's an amazing search. Bill, it's always a great pleasure to talk to you.
It really is.
Bill Harwood at the Kennedy Space Center.
So, really, at the end of the day, it's my opinion that the moons going around some of our planets, be that of Jupiter and Saturn, are actually, I think, the coolest things in the planet. Not really the actual planets themselves. The moons are far more diverse in terms of their makeup, their environments, exposure to radiation, atmosphere. It's just like, it's just so much going on there. So to me, that's the most fascinating part of space in our solar system is what's going around those planets. It's pretty much it there. I mean, there's not really like Uranus, Neptune. They don't really have the same type of diversity. It's more consistent. Mars a little bit, but nothing like Jupiter and Saturn. So it's always been the focus of my, just like watching documentaries on, solar systems and the sun and all that stuff. I can't get enough of it. So, yeah. And if you guys want to you got to check out Astrum. I'll put his link in the description. He does some amazing stuff. Most of the content we watched today was all from him. Excuse me, yeah, but everything is pretty much from him, so go check him out. Does some incredible videos, and I mean, the guy's just got like 1.5 million subscribers, 292 videos. The guy is just guy knows what he's doing. He puts out great content. So I'll put his link in there for you guys to check him out. But with that, I'm gonna cut it. I want to actually go check out the shit show and be part of that. And tonight was kind of like we just decided to do topics, mainly because we're waiting for somebody to potentially come and show up. But we'll try again tomorrow. You guys be safe. Check out the shit show. Check out Ham Banana if you dare. And we'll see you guys on the YouTube streets.